Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Trust Talks, where we speak to the most innovative and influential minds in the space. Today we're discussing meme coins if they're here to stay and their value in the wider ecosystem. My name is Pav. I'm going to be your host for today. I'm a creator for Trust Wallet, and we are joined with WIF FLOKI and SHIB. Good morning, guys. Let's head over to Shytoshi first of all. How are you?
I'm great. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for asking, and thanks for having me, Pav. Excited to be here.
Yeah, pleasure to have you on the show. Really excited to have this conversation, especially as we know where we are in the market and the role that meme coins have. So really, really excited for the conversation. Let's head over to Floki. Good morning. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thank you so much for hosting this great discussion. I'm sure it's going to be very entertaining and informative.
Yeah, really excited to have you as well. And finally, we have Kilo from WIF. Hi there, buddy. How are you?
Hey guys, uh, good morning and an honor to be here with legends Sheeb and Floki. What up, dogs?
Pleasure to have you on the show as well. I'm really, really excited for this conversation, just because of where we are in the market, where we are in this meme coin super cycle, and just to have a really, really interesting conversation about the role that meme coins have in the wider ecosystem. We know there's been a lot of controversy and a lot of success that comes from them, and it's really, really exciting to have this conversation. With the timing that we have in the market. So, without further ado, if you are listening, welcome to the show. Head to the bottom right hand corner and hit that repost button. We appreciate all of the people who are sharing and the Trust Wallet family who tune in every single week. Let's head over to Shytoshi first of all, just to get a little bit of an introduction into the conversation, to hear, comparing this market cycle to the last, what do you think are the biggest differences in how meme coins are performing and how they're being adopted?
Well, I think the performance of meme coins is still very early when we look at the market overall. We're also seeing a lot of things that are quite interesting. I was just seeing a post that most of the coins that have been listed by Binance are down like 80% or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. So there's a lot of internal things that are happening. Public isn't too privy to, in my humble opinion. But as it pertains to adoption, we're looking at a whole new opportunity. Yesterday, we were honored to announce our partnership with the Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure out of the UAE, a totally groundbreaking and new technology partnership. And I think that's really key here is that I think what we'll hear a lot today is the utility behind memes that are starting to blossom. That's when things get quite interesting. Previously, in other cycles, utility was limited to some of the big players like Solana, XRP, Cardano, I dare say once again. And now we're seeing that memes can be seen as a brand and at the same time still be a true technology player. That partnership puts us in a completely different bracket against those individuals or projects I just spoke of. And it really is a game changer, not just for SHIB to be partnered with the Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure, but also for the whole Web3 space and for memes overall. It's a really powerful thing. And I think it's an indicator of the long term possibilities that memes can have if they're innovative and continue to push the envelope as it pertains to technology.
It's a really, really interesting conversation, one that I had yesterday, especially around utility and what's expected of meme coins, because widely we have the view of the tokenization of culture, right? I've heard the CA or the meme coin is the new hashtag. It shows where energy, where excitement is and where mindshare is. And there's this whole conversation pertaining utility and where do you go for that? Can you actually get true utility from meme coins, and how does that impact that particular coin? How does it impact the view that people have against them? So yeah, really, really interesting conversation. Kilo, I wanted to ask yourself what your take on the current sentiment around meme coins is. Like, are we in another hype phase, or is there a fundamental shift in how people perceive them?
I think the sentiment around meme coins is directly correlated to its volatility. They're loved when they're going up, but not so much when things are market wide going down. In the end, people just want to be a part of a community, and meme coins offer that. I think the current cycle has shown that there's been a fundamental shift in people's perception and understanding about meme coins. I mean, we've seen hedge funds create meme index holding meme coins. Now the president launched his own meme coins, and there's rumors of ETFs. So I think we've come a long way.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting conversation as well. As we saw the BTC ETH ETF, we saw immediately straight after rumors of a Solana ETF and then XRP as well. And now we are seeing especially legacy memes in the spotlight as well. We're going to be coming onto that as well, just in terms of regulation, what the wider macro view on meme coins is, and whether there's a demand for institutional investment to get into meme coins because of that volatility and because of the excitement and how high we get with some of these market caps. So yeah, really, really interesting conversation. So much more to come. Floki, I wanted to head over to yourself. I just wanted to discuss this whole thing about community and a tribal element of community behind meme coins, because we've seen that, right, Floki? And of course, all three projects on the stage right now have really, really fierce communities. So with the meme coin space being famously tribal, with passionate communities backing their favorites, what's your take on that intense loyalty? And are you seeing shifts in how community engage with meme coins, with the volume of them that are coming out at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fascinating theme to discuss, and I truly believe that 5 to 10 years from now, in the top 20 business, MBA, and finance programs around the world, they're going to be discussing like meme coins, marketing structure, organizational structure, their rise to fame, because it truly is a phenomenon. While I do believe that you are correct, that meme projects and their movements are very, very tribal, almost to the same levels of passionate sports fans all over the world.
Yeah, that's a
Where
really good
there's a
point.
where there's a divergence is typically somebody who is a diehard sports fan, they just stick to like their one team, right? And that is their team, right? And all the other ones are garbage, and that's the one that only counts. Whether they win or lose, they're with them. What we're seeing.
I think you may have dropped off there. Shytoshi or Kilo, can you just confirm if it's myself or Floki there?
Nope, confirmed. I lost him.
He might have rugged.
Yeah, I think we are having some space. We are having some issues with spaces today. I know that there's a technical issue on the back end as well. Floki, you may just need to drop down and pop back up. Let's try one more time before you carry on. Yeah, I don't think he can hear us. I'd like to get Shytoshi, your take on the same conversation, just while we wait for Floki to drop down and come back up. This whole element of tribal, fierce passion that communities have, is that the same right now when you've got $30 million, 30 million pump fund tokens coming out? Are you seeing a shift in that, or are you seeing that same fierce tribal nature?
Well, I think that legacy memes, as you mentioned, or memes that have a long-term goal and a vision, have that same tribal structure. And I think Floki's correct. It is similar to sports fans. The difference is, you hold the project, so you have a vested interest in its success. And I guess when you think about the financial implications of like winning the Super Bowl, for instance, there's a huge influx of funds that flow into whatever city wins that Super
Yeah,
Bowl. So it is similar in many ways. I don't see much of a difference compared to the past. However, I think if we look at something like the Trump token, okay, because it was mentioned already, you don't
yeah,
see that same level of diehard fan. I think a lot of people know what they're getting into. They're just in it to try to win, and then if the token goes down, they think, you know what, this will never go back up. So I've lost my money. Oh well, let me move on. So there's a divergence between legacy memes and long-term players that have a roadmap and utility and really powerful partnerships, and then projects where there's a unlikely chance that this will outlive one cycle.
yeah. A really good point. I think we have Floki back. Let's head back over to you. Just before you rug there, you were giving such a great take.
Yeah, spaces is fickle sometimes. But no, but I was saying, I mean, passion is passion, and when you have the typical like sports fans, they have, you know, like their one team. What we're seeing now in the meme space is that you know, you always have that one project that you gravitate to. It could be like maybe the first project you got into, or the first project that showed you that performance that you were always like dreaming about, or saw other people be able to witness that success. But now it would appear that this is actually evolving into something where you can have multiple favorite teams, and that's okay. And that's actually become widely accepted, right? But not via the lens of having a diversified portfolio as you would in the traditional sense, right? That's why I truly believe that this is a phenomenon, because there's the investment portfolio aspect of choosing like the right memes, but then there's also the aspect of the adventure, you know, similar to, you know, in the gold rush, right? People are looking for the next thing, right? And the hunt is becoming almost as exciting as actually seeing that project explode, right? And I think everybody's hunting for that, right? I mean, whether it's the content creators that are looking for affirmation that they know what they're talking about, or that the TA is correct, depending on who's doing it. But from the individual perspective, from the individual user, it's understanding that with your phone or on a computer, you can find the next best thing. And maybe it's a little bit of luck. There's also some research that goes behind it. But this is changing into something that's quite marvelous to when you think about it. And the tribalism aspect of it is wonderful, because no matter where you land, if it's the right project, you're going to have a passionate community that would absorb you. And it's incumbent upon those projects to make sure that there's an on ramp for the community to be able to show how tribal they can truly be. And then you have all these creative minds that are just adding on to the allure of that project. So I really, really think this is the tip of the iceberg. So I'm very excited to discuss this with all of you.
It's a phenomenal conversation, like you mentioned there. Like, we've seen how diehard fans become in sports, right? I love the analogy or the crossover that you've given with that, because you see that fierce love for us, as you mentioned, a particular sports or a particular team. Imagine that with a financial investment and financial backing. Like, you almost know that um that level of commitment, or that level of fandom that you have for that particular project, and then that creates a community, and then from that community you get so much skill and talent that comes from that. Like, it almost just pours out. So really, really, really good point there. I wanted to come over to back to Shytoshi, just about collaboration between meme projects. So we know that competition remains a driving force, and you have a lot of liquidity moving from let's say particular projects or particular coins into others and into rotations. Do you think that the competition is going to remain a driving force, or do you think that's going to eventually phase out?
It's a good question, and I don't know. I think it really depends on the communities involved. I think as the technology moves multi-chain, which will be very important as it pertains to global adoption, it'll be important for not just memes to collaborate, which we have seen more recently than in the past, but really projects that have utility to combine forces to share technology, because then your community grows because you have some sort of new utility and new power. We've demonstrated this at SHIB multiple times with partners like RVV, Astronova, or some upcoming things that we have on the table. And so, the real question is, can memes not just partner with other memes, but can they partner with real technology partners and break into a much larger space? And again, we've demonstrated this with the recent announcement of MOE as a partnership in the UAE. It's a good example of not just trying to find a meme partner, which may or may not bring value, but finding a real technology player or government, for instance, that can utilize your technology, which brings new utility and new eyeballs, and obviously a lot of new investment and power to your brand and to the meme itself. So that, I think, is what we'll see. And we have seen this, but I think that in this way, memes can begin to step outside of the meme box that we seem to all be in and step into the utility box and stand next to big players like Solana or XRP, etc.
Yeah, I really agree with that. We actually are going to be touching on that. And the way that I want to frame the conversation for that part is going to be what's next. And I think utility is going to be a really big conversation. And I'm really excited to hear your guys' thoughts. Just before we do that, and staying along the lines of competition, I want to head to. I'd actually like all three of you just to have a guess with me here, right? So, according to recent data, I'd like you guys to guess how many tokens have been created on Pump Fun in the last 12 months alone. So let's head over to Floki first. Give me a number. Let me know what your guess is. Then we'll go to Kilo, and then we'll go to Shytoshi. So Floki, how many Pump Fun tokens were created in the last 12 months?
In the last 12 months, I would have to say easily over 2 million.
Okay, let's head over to Kilo. Just a guess.
I'm gonna guess 1 million.
Okay, and then Shytoshi, over to you.
That number is closer to somewhere between 14 to 20 million. They're averaging about 1 million a month, is my understanding, overall. But I don't know if they're all coming through Pump.
Yeah, so just to clarify, this is just for Pump. So I know a lot of them have been created outside of it. In the last 12 months, recent data shows that 5.1 million tokens have been created on Pump Fun. That equates to 10,417 every 24 hours and 31 tokens every minute at its height. So when we're speaking competition here, Kilo, what strategies are you doing to keep your community engaged and growing in this competitive space?
It's vibes, right? So in addition to engaging on Twitter and Reddit and our Telegram, in recent months we've had some IRL stunts. The actual dog Achi is alive and well in Korea, and we were able to raise money to host her and her family to come over around the inauguration. So we hosted Achi at an inaugural gala where she got to have her own seat at a table at a black tie event, which was fun. And then a few days later, we were invited to have her on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, where we were able to witness the bell and the opening of the market for the day. And it was a big hit. It was a lot of people really excited to see a real live meme coin on the floor of the stock exchange. So I think that more IRL events, could be a great thing for memes. I've attended NFT NYC a few times, and I don't see why we couldn't have like a meme fest, and where everybody comes together and there's events, etc. You heard it here first, by the way, but I'm all for meme fest,
Yeah, and I know there was actually some controversy around the Sphere in Vegas. Did you see much of that? Were you involved in any of that? Did you have any thoughts on that?
I would defer to what our Twitter main has posted, our statement, and behind the scenes there's a group of people that are actively working on the Sphere, and it's still in the works.
All right, let's go. I actually would like to hear the same from Shytoshi and Floki as well. Just in terms of with the amount of competition that we have, what are you guys doing with your community, for your community to like retain that attention? Let's
I'll
head
go
over
first.
to Shytoshi first.
I think that SHIB is a different beast and a different animal altogether as it pertains to community. Our focus has been to create the world's best technology set so that we can empower our network state. We did something quite remarkable when we declared sovereignty over a year ago. And I implore anyone here who hasn't heard about that to read the SHIB paper, over 100 pages as a constitution. And our goal right now is to build all of the technologies needed for network state to run. so that the community can survive not just the next cycle, but over the next 100 years. By placing ourselves in the bracket of a state, and by producing the technology needed for a state to run, we're able to have a suite, an operating system that allows any person, place, city, or country to move from Web 2 to Web 3. So at the same time, while we're community building and building an incredible foundation for our community to thrive, we've also created something that the rest of the world can use. This is what makes SHIB unique in many different ways. For us, it's not just about the hype. We believe, or at least I believe, that hype will follow as you continue to produce real world utility, and not just hype, but so does revenue, which is extremely important in the case of a meme that's fully decentralized. So overall, we continue to produce a variety of technologies and a variety of events that are based all around treat, so that we can give treats to our community. I think we'll see something about the metaverse very shortly that'll explain this in detail, and I don't want to give it away just yet. But that is our focus. It allows us to keep the community very engaged, and it allows the community to be able to truly build moving forward.
Oh, you almost slipped some alpha there. I'd love to. I'd love to hear more about.
lots of stuff coming down the pipeline for us. The UAE is, as a partner, has some surprises for everyone, and I'm really excited to see the community react as we prove that we are more than a meme. And I think everyone on this stage has kind of placed himself in the same position.
Amazing. Yeah, really, really cool. And like I mentioned, like that utility piece is really key now, right? Like, what does it take for a meme coin to stand out, and value provided for their community is really going to be under the spotlight. Let's head over to Floki, and then we'll move on to the next part of the conversation.
Wonderful. No, I think it was an excellent contribution by Shytoshi right now. I think that it's important that projects understand, right, that you could either try to appease your community, right, or you can try to make blockchain better. The best thing to do is to follow both approaches in unison. And regardless of the market conditions, right, you need to build something that's truly unique. You don't want to follow in anybody's footsteps. Many do. Many projects have been successful doing that. It's actually part of the business model of many projects. But as it pertains to the unique position that Floki is in, is that, number one, our community means everything to us. So how do you keep them engaged? I mean, there's many ways to do that, right? You can continue to develop innovative products. You can provide services that are needed. You can push the technology forward, and all that is wonderful. But I think governance is important. I think the democratic nature of being governed by a DAO is one immediate way to give direct engagement, right? Outside of just sharing things on social media and and pumping the good news, I think you need to give your community power, right, on strategic decisions that will guide the project until tomorrow and beyond. And one of the things that's been worked very well for us is the fact that we wanted to be different, right? Because our origins were different. I mean, if you look historically at everything we've had to overcome, we were rugged twice. We were the first CTO, right? Community takeover. And we were able to pick up the pieces of something that was broken and then make something truly unique. And it's difficult to do that when you see other meme projects that came before you. You could kind of learn, right? So you could either be, like the early bird gets the worm, but it's usually the second mouse that gets the cheese. So we're able to see what worked, but make it our own. So we wanted to tackle things that were difficult. We wanted to tackle blockchain gaming, for example, because the sustainable economy hasn't really been perfected. The play to earn mechanics have had issues that have plagued that industry. So we wanted to be a part of the solution moving forward and leave blockchain gaming better than what we found it. We wanted to have a DeFi protocol that not only was innovative, but that pushed the boundaries of what was available. That's why our token locker solution via FLOKify is actually the most innovative token locker solution of its kind that adheres to the ERC 1155 standard. We also wanted to have a Floki trading bot that would make you get into the trading, into the assets of your choice, faster, more reliable. But it goes beyond that, because everything that we build, it has a community-centric approach to it, right? What does our community deserve? The very best. How can we continue to provide something that our community would absolutely adore, be very, very proud of, but also put the technology where it belongs, is constantly pushing forward and shatter any expectations of what you would expect a meme project can accomplish if they focus on utility. And I think all of us here are really part of that movement, and we're really truly are pioneers in this industry. And if we continue to do sound and ethical business practices, if we continue to innovate and bring products to market that can show the rest of the world that doesn't understand blockchain yet that this is something that's absolutely viable, the use case is absolutely there, and this is only the beginning, then we're really, really, breaking into a new dimension of mass world adoption. And when that happens, not only does our community win, the entire category under memes wins. So very excited about that new chapter.
It's a little bit cheesy to say, but with great power comes great responsibility, right? When you've got this massive community that's behind you and you're now looking at a whole sector on chain, like gaming, for example, it is within your responsibility to enter that sector, to add value, to ensure that you're not affecting the views of that, and you're making sure that the onboarding process is simple within that. So it's almost like when people think of meme coins, they just think, oh, a pump and dump, or they think a pump and you can make lots of money. But when you have projects like yourselves that are actually out there to build infrastructure, lead the way, and actually improve the experience and more people coming on chain, it's a complete different conversation. And then it's a project in its entirety as well. So really, really good points there, Floki. I think it's a incredible conversation that needs to be had to almost set the bar of what it means for a meme coin, especially moving forward. I wanted to have a look at a couple of the challenges and controversies you guys have experienced, or even meme coins in general, right? We know they often face skepticism. There's a lot of market volatility, you've mentioned already, and even more so regulatory scrutiny as well. Prior to Trump and prior to him releasing his coin, within the spotlight, I'd say uncomfortably too much. And we've seen a lot of rugs from like celebrities and really, really big people in the space who have given it a really bad name. What are some of the biggest challenges you've had to navigate through, and how did you have overcome those in your journeys to dominating in mindshare? Let's head over to Kilo first.
Repeat the question again.
Yeah, so one of the biggest challenges you've had to navigate over the last 6 to 12 months and how you overcame that.
I say the biggest challenge is just to survive, right? We were a November 2023 meme coin on Solana, where arguably, the earliest meme coins on Solana, and then a lot has changed over the past year. So I'd say our biggest challenge was just surviving and still being, a top 10 meme coin by market cap, and even being on the stage with OGs, etc., is an accomplishment. So that goes into where are we going from here? There's our meme coin is going to be seen as a store of value, moving forward with ETFs, etc. But I think that was the biggest challenge is hanging on.
Yeah, I see that. I see how difficult that can be. Floki, let's head to you as well. More so from a perspective of skepticism around meme coins, the volatility that's experienced, and the regulatory scrutiny. Have you experienced any challenges?
Most certainly, right? I mean, the longer you are in the space, the more challenges, right? You should be encountering, right? And I say this through the lens of being around since 2021, right? When you're trying to get like legal clarity from some jurisdictions, there may be some friction, right? So while the last 6 months have been, quite smooth in contrast to what we've had to experience from 2021, I think the biggest scrutiny is from the individuals that don't understand blockchain, right? Those in crypto, fall into two boxes, right? Those are just really just care about chasing green candles, and those that are looking for projects that they truly believe in and focus on the fundamentals. And not so much as the challenge of the last 6 months or 12 months, because we continue to build no matter what the market conditions dictate. It shouldn't change your overall focus, right? And if it's to develop specific financial instruments and products, you should stick to it, and that's what we've been able to do. So one of the strategies that's worked for us quite well is to put the blinders on when there's blood in the water, because that shouldn't change your overall perspective. Yes, you need to be more conscious of the resources that are utilized, but you have to make sure that you continue to build and continue to develop, right? And that's the only way that you're going to be able to make it through like the next cycle, and that you could ultimately deliver for the community. Because when you look at it, yeah, you have a core team, right? You have an extended team that's working on the project, and the community, they come in and out sometimes, right? People are very busy. They may not see all the updates that are happening. The team should always be working, right? It's a 24/7 gig, right? This industry ages you very, very fast, but I think most of our challenges were faced like early on, right, where we were rugged by our initial developer, our second developer, and then the community was able to like take over. We had an inflationary bug that was in the original contract that we had to remedy. So our lifeline has been riddled with challenges that we've been able to overcome. We had some disagreements with regulators in London in terms of our marketing campaign that we were also able to navigate through and come out successfully. And it's each of those, potentially like scar-inducing situations makes you stronger and more resilient. And since we are Viking themed, this analogy plays true, just like the Vikings of old, right? When you would go to war together and get scars together and make it through, it makes the bond stronger. And that's what we've seen with our community, because we've been able to continue not only our growth, and I don't mean in terms of just market cap, right? Because sometimes it's easy to get lost in the weeds and just look at that. I mean our actual utility, right? Our brand, the partnerships that we've been able to successfully engage, maintain, and thrive with, and as well as our a path, right, to making blockchain better than what we found it. And I think based on that tempest, we've been very, very successful. But with 100% certainty, I can tell you that there's way more to come, and the best is yet to come.
Absolutely love that. It's completely natural that there's going to be so much that you need to overcome as a project, but when you have a wider view like that, it almost makes it like there's a clear direction of what's happening, and I think that's what the community, invariably want to see. Shytoshi, just over to you before we move on, and then we'll have a look at what's next for memes.
Sure. So I think SHIB's largest challenge has and continues to be the issue of communication about exactly what we're doing. We get a ton of questions. I guarantee you right now in the comments, there's win bone on exchanges, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a challenge to be able to communicate the long-term vision and the short-term vision sometimes because of NDAs. For instance, this partnership with the Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure has been a long-term communication with them, well over multiple months, and it wasn't something we could talk about. And even now, there's a lot of things that go along with it where we can't exactly say how it works and why. And there's a variety of reasons for that. Sometimes it's because of NDAs. Sometimes it's just because you can't expose exactly what you're working on because we have so many clones and fraudsters that will copy exactly what we do and try to defraud our community. So we are often very close-lipped about what we're working on and why, and this causes a lot of questions that we can't answer. It's a big challenge for us, and it's one that can only be overcome through time. And I think the community has seen, and at this point has developed a certain level of trust that we continue to deliver. Even though scammers have said, oh, there's no Shiba swap, oh, there's no Shibarium, even though it has 9 times the transactions of Cardano, or oh no, there's no metaverse, and then boom, here's the metaverse. And so although we don't always or can't always explain exactly what we're working on, I think the community is beginning to understand that the endless questions are answered through time and through time only. And I like all the answers that have been given, and hearing that lots of building is taking place is a fantastic thing. I think that overall, the entire crypto world is really moving to onboard the next billion individuals, and SHIB is poised to be the leader in this space alongside the other individuals on this call, on this space. And it's exciting to see because only 7% of the world is in blockchain right now, and the other 93% are going to come over slowly but surely. And when they do get here, they're going to look for the OGs and for the things that have, or the projects that have created a safe space. So we continue to work on that goal to present a perfect foundation for our community and the worldwide community. But we aren't always able to say how and why and when.
It's a really great point, and I think it's a difficult one, and I completely see your perspective from here, because people on chain are seeing projects rug left, right, and center, right? And therefore they want that sort of like confidence, or they want that communication. It's not always easy to do that, especially when you're building at scale, and getting people's input every step of the way isn't always necessarily the fastest route to getting the best result. And I think that's why conversations like this are so important, not necessarily just from a perspective of where are we in the wider market, but like, where are you as a project at the moment, and you having that conversation on spaces where people can listen to your thoughts and listen to your not even your roadmap, just your view on how to navigate around things, right? It's very easy and very clear to hear that you're looking at this from a very wide perspective. It's long term. You're aware of the rate in which people are coming on chain over the next 10-15 years, and it's the long game. And I think through hearing that is what gives people confidence, and then they don't need to know right now what's happening. Okay, well, what's happening tomorrow? Okay, the price is down, or what's happening now? And I think the communication is the really, really key part, and what differentiates a successful project, not just a meme project, but within Web3, a successful project and an unsuccessful project.
You're right, Pep. Can I add something here? I just wanted to, just since I'm here, add one piece of information. A question that we get all the time is, why not more exchanges? And why not go to the exchanges? And there's multiple reasons for this. As I mentioned before, like, Binance is not the end all be all for everything.
Yeah,
It
we've
does
seen
not
that. We
necessarily
have seen
mean,
that.
right, exactly. It does not necessarily mean price go up. And there's all types of complicated situations when trying to get on a tier one exchange. And then we see things like Hyperliquid come into the space and totally change that whole mentality of you must go through a centralized exchange. And that is another thing, another shift that we're seeing that's really important. And in my opinion, getting real world adoption is way more important and way more powerful, because the effect of having like a large government or a large company or project adopt your technology is going to have a much more lasting and long or large growth effect than getting on Binance and having a temporary pump. And that's really a good example of like thinking outside of the box and thinking about how to attack uh, the world in a different way. And it's key to all of us winning long term. And that's why I'm so excited to hear this coming from memes in this space.
Yeah, really, really good point. And I think it's like I mentioned already, it's really important to have these conversations to get that view on the direction and where that's going to go. So yeah, really, really great points there. Just one final conversation before we move on to what's next for memes is just a view on regulation and how and if you are preparing for this. So Floki, I'd love to hear from you just in terms of, we have a pro crypto government now, and that hasn't been the case. In fact, it was quite the opposite not too long ago. We know that there's a stricter view on regulation that's incoming from President Donald Trump and his cabinet. What's your thoughts on regulation within meme coins? Are you preparing for it? Is it on your radar? Floki has dropped again. Shytoshi, let's go to you, and then we'll head over to Kilo.
So, I get irritated about this type of question because the concept is that, only the United States has regulation. They are the only place in the world that has all the keys and it's just simply not the case. Again, the number one, or according to many metrics, the number one crypto jurisdiction in the world is the UAE. And they are very enterprising and embracing blockchain, and have with initiatives like Blockchain 2020 and the Earth project from MOE itself, looking for not just blockchain, but Web3 in general, including AI, and the ability to work with large governments. It proves that it's not just about the token itself. It's not about crypto. Our partnership with the UAE is not a crypto partnership. It is a technology partnership. And the key here is having technology that can be utilized, not so much about a token. Our token is very simple. You can read the contract. It's been there forever. And so can crypto regulation change how a meme works? Probably not, right? Like there can be regulation to stop zillions of rugs that take place on a daily basis. Yes, that's a good thing. But overall, as long as we focus on technology and building technology with powerful players, we are in a completely different bracket. Do you see regulation on Amazon or on Google? Yeah, to a certain extent, but it's a completely different ballgame. You know what you're getting into. So the key here is really having a technology foundation and having a series of technologies that embrace and utilize the Web3 components that are fantastic and bring things like fully homomorphic encryption to the forefront. You know, this is a big deal when you think about blockchain and having the ability to have your data be protected at a quantum proof level. Shout out to Zama.ai for that. And many of the different technologies that we've embraced when building the operating system stand completely outside of crypto jurisdictional issues that may pop up about memes. That has nothing to do with that. It's all about the technology. And that is how we're going to onboard the next billion people. We're not going to onboard people because some new meme becomes super hot and does something, or any of us on this call, you know, gain 400,000% or tomorrow, or whatever the case may be. We're going to win this game by building incredible tech that people love to use, that they don't even know that they're using in most cases because of account abstraction. And then those little transaction fees that you see from Uber, that 1% that you never pay attention to, part of that goes back towards the DAO. And that is how we win. It's not by fighting regulators. Let the regulators do what they do best and protect consumers. That's great. But let us do what we do best, which is build incredible Web3 technology.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, as an incredible response. And it's that view of creating something that's gonna have a lasting impact on the space and a positive impact on the space, and that connotation isn't usually with meme coins, and that's why it's so good to hear that from yourself. Floki, let's head over to you. I think you're back now.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think the biggest thing is making sure that you're bringing something to the market. Number one, that's needed. Number two, that's good at what it does. And number three, that not only implies, but actually solidifies enhanced transparency. You know, on what the product that's going to the end user, what is it supposed to do? How does it make that process easier? And how are we better for it after the fact? And if you're in a crypto-friendly jurisdiction, then you're quite lucky, right? Because you have access to a certain transparency. It may be easier for you to do some type of transactions. But I think the biggest thing, as we're seeing this massive change, at least here, like in the States, in terms of more clarity and transparency for regulation, is the fact that I think honesty is very important. Representing the project that you're in is very important, and making sure that you're speaking to like the right organizations and agencies so that you have the appropriate infrastructure. Because you have very successful projects in the space, but do they have the the labor and organizational framework to operate like a Fortune 100 company? And I think those things are important, and that is directors of compliance, AML, BSA, all these different offices and responsibilities that you would see at a trading house or at a bank would be very important to have within your institution if it's operating within that framework. So I'm all for regulation and legal protection under the law to provide assets that not only represent your community, but that people outside of it can use and see. Because what you're doing is not only are you bringing something to market and you're filling specific gaps of services that are needed, right? Because every good business should look at inefficiencies in the market, right, and try to fill those gaps with their own unique brand and products and services. And I think that's what we're doing in the meme space. But what we're not seeing is who's coming behind us, right? 5 years from now, what are those projects going to look like, right? And how are they going to be influenced, right? So we're the trailblazers right now, believe it or not, right? Like we're having to take 9 months to do some type of operating agreement, where we're constrained, right? As Shytoshi was mentioning, right? Like we're constrained, be it through NDAs and you can't talk about it. But 5 years from now, those agreements could take maybe 3 weeks to put together. So we're going to start seeing not only a lot of quantity of meme projects, but we're going to see other projects that are going to learn from those that came before. So it's important that we're very responsible with what we're doing. Our ethical approach has to be sound, and everything we do has to just be at the highest level and standards of quality. So, it remains to be seen what the transparency and regulations would look like here in the States, but it's certainly striking an optimistic tone. But regardless, we just have to continue to build, and we have to make the tech better. And I think that there's some things coming down the pike that I think we might actually have a chance to talk about later on with the tokenization of RWA. And this is like really important because fractionalized ownership is the future of many of the things that we hold dear in blockchain. So I'm very excited about it.
Again, a brilliant response. I'm actually taken aback by how incredible this conversation is, because I'll be the first to put my hands up and say, when you think of meme coins, you don't think of them running their projects with the words responsibility or future or roadmap or even care to the wider ecosystem. And like you mentioned, being a trailblazer is incredibly difficult. And if you do that with something which is extremely volatile and has a really fierce community, that's something really difficult to do. And I don't think that's discussed enough, how hard it actually is to be responsible for 750,000, 1 million people, all of these holders who are just fierce and looking for your lead, and then the wider impact of that. Like, if trailblazers like yourself aren't doing that effectively or efficiently, the impact that can have on the market as well, and on regulation as well. If you see meme coins or projects at that scale who are not operating within the confinements of regulation, whether it's the UAE or the USA, that's going to impact everyone. That's going to impact anyone who's building anything in the next 3 to 5 years. And it's really, really cool to see that you guys are honing in on that at the heart of your conversation. I wanted to head over to WIF, just because I want to change the conversation in the last 10 minutes on what's next for memes. What's next for meme coins, what's next in store, what's in store for where we're heading. Kilo, what would you say is in store in the next phase of meme coin adoption? Are there any upcoming initiatives or trends that you think will shape 2025?
Sorry, I was just trying to Google what homomorphic encryption means, and I'm probably if I was gonna get asked something along those lines, I was gonna have to phone in a friend. It says I'm a little bit more on the art department, but I would add that with we don't have a foundation or a legal entity backing it. It's all community first movement. So I would on to the next question. The next phase might unfortunately be the thinning of memes. A continued consolidation behind the top memes and what people see as value. Especially since this is an attention economy. Whether that be through IRL events or utility, or just surviving, as we talked about before, as being OGs. So I really don't know. I mean, how things are going to shake out here over the next 6 months to a year. We are altcoins, and if we believe in BTC dominance going down and altcoins coming back up, then I think that the availability for the amount of exchanges that some of the top memes have gotten to is important. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it is almost like on one hand, we don't actually know where the industry is going, and I think that's why conversations like this are so important. Shytoshi, I'd love to get your take on the next phase of meme coin adoption. Like, are there any upcoming trends that you think will shape the space for this year and beyond?
You know, it's impossible to know where this is going to go as a trend. Any disruptive technology like pump, for example, can totally change everything in a blink of an eye. So we like to focus on what we're working on, and I believe that over the next year to 3 to 5 years, you'll begin to see a focus on our operating system, which has over 36 different pieces of technology, begin to do a few different things. One, help our branding prove that we are much more than a meme, but also a technology powerhouse. Also to empower our community to really run as a network state. I think we're going to see the technology be adopted to begin to help people. This is a big thing that we haven't spoken about. It's really important that we don't just develop for large entities, but also for the average person who are unbanked or unrepresented or across the world. And then finally, we will get closer to onboarding the next billion users onto Web3. And that's one of the things that we're really excited about, because through decentralization and being able to help people at the same time, we'll solidify our brand as a powerful player in this space and worldwide outside of this space, and begin to truly onboard the next billion. That's our goal.
Amazing. And Floki, over to you.
Yeah, well, I actually think, right, that if we follow the technology S curve, right, for some of the products that we've seen that's really been disruptors, obviously, the internet, the recent updates we've seen with smartphones, and then all these different social media platforms, right? We notice that there is those over 50, right, are using these platforms more and more, right? Anybody that has parents over 50, and that if they have FaceTime, they use it a lot, or they're on social media, right? Maybe more than what they should be, right? Because they may not fully understand all the features, but we're seeing this a lot, right? Whether it's on Instagram or Facebook, they're using these platforms more, right? And one of the things that I think it's incumbent upon all major projects is to bear in mind that there's this massive population that's going to be coming into crypto that doesn't understand that you can't get some meme projects on Coinbase for their favorite exchange, right? That they don't know how to use decentralized exchanges, that are going to be too trusting of different people on Telegram that they've never met, right? And are going to ask to help them and share their seed phrase, right? And right now it's really like the wild west, and sometimes projects are too busy that I don't want to say like hide, because that has like a negative connotation, but it's very easy just to say like, oh, do your own research, or not your keys, not your crypto. I think that there's going to be like an ethical component. I think it's going to have to be like community driven to provide education for those, right, that are 50 to 55 currently and are going to age up, that want to get into the crypto scene. They want to do it, right? They see their kids on it. They want to give it a shot. And this is speaking from like personal experience, right? That people are asking me like, well, why can't I get this there? And you try to explain it to them, but they don't understand, right? And you try to give them YouTube videos, but they still don't get it. So there's going to be all these, at least I see like a space that's available, not only for content creators to market to that specific demographic, but for products and services for those individuals to be able to get the projects that they like, have a diversified, meme portfolio, or a Web3 portfolio that they're able to move in on. And this means obviously enlarging the text of the platforms that they're using, and the memes themselves, right? Because right now, let's say they come out with like a John Wayne meme, right? That may not mean anything to those from 18 to 40, right? But maybe for the older folks, right, or the Frank Sinatra coin, or all these other things, right, that from a different age, that would resonate with older folks, not only in the U.S. but from around the world. And that's something that hasn't really been tapped in yet. But I do see this moving in that direction, right? And that's what we're seeing with all these other platforms that we utilize. So I think that we just have to be prepared for that, and then try to make sure that we just put in, a token of effort to try to make things better, or new developers will fill that space themselves.
It's a really good point, because so often, everything's happening on CT and Reddit, like Shytoshi mentioned, like someone mentioned there, capturing a wider audience through things that are relevant to them, and you mentioned the Sinatra coin or things like that, like that's going to attract so many more people, and that's going to bring so many more people on chain. So it's something I hadn't even thought of. You know, and you can apply that to almost any industry. You know, like we've seen an implementation of NFTs through sports, for example, or through Formula One. And as you go through every single industry where you have mass amounts of people who are interested, all of that can be converted, and those people can be converted on chain. So, you know, as an outlook for 2025, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm super bullish on it as well.
Awesome.
Amazing. We are heading into the last 2 minutes of the show, and I wanted to end on quite a controversial question. And just before I do that, I wanted to again just ask you guys very quickly, and there is a reason behind the question. What percentage of people do you think lose money on meme coins? Let's head over to Kilo first.
Oh man, 95%, 98%.
Yeah. Okay. Floki.
Yeah, about 99%.
Shytoshi.
Yep, about 95%.
So
Unfortunately.
so what I'm seeing here is between 95 and 97% of people are losing money. And the reason why I wanted to ask that was because this final question is, you know, are meme coins hurting or are they helping crypto more, and why? Let's go over to Floki first.
I would say again, right, you got to look at the technology S-curve here, right? If you look at how many car companies there were when the car was invented, there were hundreds, right, if not thousands, trying to make it better, right? But only the strong survive, right? And evolution works in the physical realm as well as in the digital. So I think what the meme movement is doing is that it's bringing to the dinner table a conversation that needs to be had, right? Should financial instruments stick with the traditional, you know, norms, or should we go into what's happening and in the future, but today? And I think that you can have both, right? Because you can't have growth without being uncomfortable, right? And we have to go through this to understand this is what it's supposed to be, and this is what it's not supposed to be, right? This is what's needed, right? So if you label projects as good or bad, right, it's tough to say. But when projects are bad or they're rug pulls and all that, then that is putting into the bucket of what we need to address, and how can we provide protections and further security protocols for individuals to not be preyed upon, and to make the circumstances so severe that those that do that will think about it. So overall, I think net the benefits are more positive than negative.
Yeah, great answer. Shytoshi, let's head over to you to wrap up just with the final answer of the day.
Very good question. I think overall, the meme space, because you have that 95% statistic that you gave us, proves that the average new meme that comes out is most likely going to hurt. And that's why it's so important that you have OG memes that are actually building and moving forward and pushing the boundary of technology. And I think that when you look at it from that perspective, the OG memes are less likely to cause harm. They're actually building a community and moving the entire world towards true adoption. And that's the key here. The key is that, at least for SHIB, for us to not be seen as just a meme, so that we break away from that that connotation, that stigma of being a rug pull, because we're obviously not. We've been around and we aren't going anywhere. So the key here is to find the right memes that are actually building, that actually have a long-term plan. I'm really excited to see this happen for a lot of new memes that are happening. And then there's the 5% that are actually going to keep pushing forward. And those are the ones that are going to survive the next cycle, that are going to lead the way for memes and for the entire industry. And I think that's the key here.
Yeah, really, really good answer. I really appreciate those answers. I know it's quite a tough question, but I think you handled it really well. I wanted to just say a massive thank you. We have actually come up to the end of the show. We're 2 minutes over, so I do apologize. But I really wanted to just get those thoughts out there and end on a constructive note of, you know, how legacy memes are playing a complete different role to the 95% or the 5 million that are being created and pumped and dumped in the same day. So, you know, complete two different conversations, but thank you for addressing those. Was there any closing comments you guys had before we wrapped up?
Sure, I guess I'll go. You want to go? Go ahead, Floki.
Sure.
Go
Yeah,
first.
go for it, yeah.
No, I just wanted to say this was an incredible panel, wonderful discussion, and for all the audience members, hopefully it was entertaining and informative. And I think it's fairly safe to say that we want to be part of the solutions in blockchain. We want to innovate. We want to deliver for our community, and um, we may not have the same line to the success that we've drawn, right? And that we want to be able to achieve, but we have the best intentions, and we will continue to work and develop, because truly rising tide lifts all boats. And when you're dealing with strong projects, that are backed by great teams, that their approaches are always ethical and based on best practice, then the future of blockchain looks quite bright. We just have to make sure that these are the messages, right, and mantras that we're able to resonate and duplicate and spread that knowledge, as opposed to the negative aspects of blockchain. So thank you so much for inviting us, and we're very, very happy that we had this discussion.
Amazing. Any other final comments, guys?
Yeah, I just like to jump in and end it with, are we hurting or helping crypto? I think it's fun, I mean, this is a way for new people to get involved and start cryptocurrency, to feel like they're a part of something, a community, dare I say, a cult. And look at what Doge has accomplished. We haven't mentioned them yet, and who knows, maybe your meme coin can someday have a government agency named after it. Thank you guys so much for having me. It was an honor to be here.
Amazing. Floki, I have to give you an opportunity just for some closing comments if you have any. Otherwise, we will wrap up.
Sure, happy to close it out. Thank you for having me. Really excited to be here and to hear some really intelligent conversation around memes. I just want to give everybody our website, SHIB.io, so that you can see the operating system and read about the partnership with Moe and how we are pushing the envelope, not just for memes, but really in this particular case with a tech stack that, in our opinion, is better than absolutely everything else on the market, hands down, without any equivocation, period. And it is
Amazing.
exciting to be part of this, and we thank you all for allowing us to be here again.
Amazing. Thank you. I just wanted to say a massive thank you to our incredible panel for joining us today. A really, really interesting conversation. One of my favorites I have had in a long time. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. We are Trust Talks, where we speak to the most innovative and influential minds in the space on a weekly basis, and you can join us here. So if you are not already, the first thing to do immediately is follow Trust Wallet and myself, Pav. I've been your host and the speakers on the stage as well. So thank you so much to everyone who tuned in.